Google probably knows more about you than your best friend. You don't believe me? Does your best friend know your exact location, have access to your private photos, or know what you searched for at 2 a.m. last Tuesday? Yeah, I got you there. But it's not even your fault, because Google didn't become part of your life overnight. It started with search, then Gmail, then Chrome, and probably Drive. Before you knew it, your entire digital life was inside one ecosystem. But don't worry, because you don't have to leave Google all at once. I already have deep dive videos on most of these alternatives, so today we're keeping things simple. I'll show you where to start, which switches are worth making first, and how to do it. So let's start with the easiest switch on this list, your search engine. Switching takes only 30 seconds and you don't have to keep up anything. You see, the problem with Google search is that every query adds another piece to your behavior profile. And the more you use it, the more Google knows about you. Recently, I spent weeks testing 7 search engines against Google and 2 stood out above the rest. The first one is Kagi. And yes, it's a paid search engine, but because of that, Kagi has no reason to fill your search result with ads or optimize for clicks. It simply tries to answer your query as well as possible, as you're the customer and not the advertiser. But the engine I recommend and personally use is Brave. Unlike most Google alternatives that proxy results from Google or Bing, Brave has built its own independent index. I ran it against Google alongside other engines and it was the only one to match and even surpass Google on every single query it supports. Brave is free, it's private and gives you a one-click toggle to turn off AI completely if you don't want AI answers in your search results. To switch, open your browser settings, navigate to search engine and select the one you want to use. Also, don't worry because switching doesn't mean giving something up, as both Kagi and Brave support banks. Basically, an exclamation mark followed by a shortcut that instantly redirects your search to a completely different engine or website. In less than a minute, you've removed Google from one of the things you do dozens of times every day. And that's an enormous privacy win for almost no effort. Now let's tackle the password manager. Unlike changing the search engine, this one takes a few minutes, but once it's done, leaving Google's ecosystem becomes much easier. If you're using Chrome, there is a good chance Google is also storing your passwords. And that might seem convenient, but it also creates another dependency. If your Google account gets locked or compromised, you also lose access to your other accounts. The easiest way to break that dependency is with a dedicated password manager. And I have 2 recommendations. Bitwarden is probably the safest recommendation if you just want a great password manager that works everywhere. It's open source, has been around since 2016, works across pretty much every platform, and its free plan is enough for most people. Proton Pass is the one I'd pick if you prefer a more modern interface with features like built-in Hide My Email aliases. It also fits naturally if you plan to de-Google your email or cloud storage later. To switch, go to Browser Settings, search for Password Manager, go to Settings and export passwords. Now, import the file into Bitwarden or Proton Pass and you're done. One important thing, that export file contains all your passwords in plain text. So delete it from your computer immediately after the import. Both Proton and Bitwarden separate your passwords from your browser, so whether you're using Brave, Firefox, Windows, Mac, Android or iPhone, your passwords come with you. And that's the real benefit here. A few minutes of work and your passwords live somewhere independent, making every switch after this much easier. Now let's tackle the software you're using to access almost everything online, your browser. Chrome is incredibly convenient, but through it, Google gets a lot of information about how you browse the web, what websites you visit, and how you interact with Google's ecosystem. The good news is that switching browsers is actually pretty painless, especially now that your passwords are already independent. And I have 2 recommendations depending on what you're looking for. My first recommendation is the Zen Browser. It's built on Firefox Gecko engine, meaning it leaves the Chroming world behind and it completely breaks your dependency on Google. Zen is clean and modern, but because it doesn't have a built-in ad blocking out of the box, I highly recommend pairing it with the uBlock Origin extension immediately. My second recommendation and the browser I personally use is Brave. Because it's built on Chromium, everything will feel instantly familiar. Your Chrome extensions will work, and Brave comes with a powerful built-in ad tracker and fingerprint blocker enabled by default. The switch takes less than 2 minutes. Install the browser you want, set it as default, and use the built-in import tool to transfer the bookmarks and browsing history in one click. Yeah, you don't need to change the way you use the internet. Changing the software you use to access it does the trick. Now we get to the central piece that's holding everything else together: your inbox. Because think of it, almost every online account you have is linked to your email. And if you use Gmail, your email address is basically the master key to your digital life. So if you want to seriously reduce your dependence on Google, this one is the one you eventually need to tackle. I have 2 recommendations that focus heavily on privacy and encryption. The first one is Proton Mail. If you already moved to Proton Pass earlier in this video, this is the natural next step. You can use the same account and stay within the same ecosystem, and Proton encrypts your mailbox with end-to-end encrypted communication available between Proton users. The second option is Tuta. Tuta is a German company, it's fully open source, and it encrypts more of your email metadata, including subject lines. There are 2 main differences between the two. First, Proton Mail gives you more flexibility with email clients. You can use your preferred desktop client, but you'll need an additional app called Proton Bridge. With Tuta, you don't have this option, as you have to use Tuta's own apps. And second, Proton makes migration from Gmail particularly straightforward, while Tuta's migration workflow is still in beta. But please, don't try to migrate your entire digital life in one afternoon. Set up your new email address first, then start the migration in Proton, or if you're using Tuta, set up the mail forwarding from Gmail so you don't miss anything. Spend the next few weeks updating the accounts that actually matter, like banking, work, and subscriptions to your new email address. Then, over the next month or 2, migrate everything else. Anyone who tells you switching emails takes a few minutes has never actually tried it. But once it's done, your email and the accounts connected to it are no longer tied to Google, so it's worth every minute it takes. The last piece is for everything you've created and accumulated over the years. Your documents, your backups, and years of photos that Google has been storing for you. And this one is different from everything we've done so far, because it affects your digital belongings. And for these, I have 2 recommendations depending on how far you want to take this migration. The first one is Proton Drive. If you've already moved to Proton Pass and Proton Mail, this one closes the loop with the same account and same ecosystem. Your files are end-to-end encrypted, and the migration is straightforward, as Proton provides a guide on how to do it step by step. The next option is Nextcloud, and I'd only recommend this if you really want to go all the way. Nextcloud is a software that you run yourself either on your own hardware or on a server you rent. That means you're no longer depending on a company to host your files, and you have much more control over your data, your storage, and your setup. But I'll be honest, Nextcloud deserves a whole video on its own, and it's too much of a setup for the scope of this video. Please take your time with this migration, as unlike changing a search engine or a browser, you can't undo losing 10 years of photos and memories. The main takeaway from this video is simple: you don't need to leave Google overnight. Start with your search engine, move your passwords, and change your browser today. And then take your time with email, photos, and the files that matter the most to you. Every switch means less information for Google about you. You don't have to do everything today. Just start with the easy ones. And remember how we started the video with Google knowing more about you than your best friend? After today, a little less of that is true. I've linked my videos on browsers, search engines, and password managers in the description if you want to dive deeper into any of these topics. If you found this useful, consider subscribing for more videos on making your technology more private, secure, and independent. I'm Raul, and I'll see you in the next one.